Hi, everybody. Here we are with another special edition of the Stream of David Live. I've got a few guests on with me today. First of all, you all know Debbie G. She is my constant co-host. Hi, Debbie. And we also have Carrie on with us today from Texas.
Hello.
And then Nicole, where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Somewhere east like you, but I wasn't.
Right, yes.
So we're just going to take this time to talk about the Taya tools, and we're going to take this time to talk about how we're utilizing them in our lives and how we're navigating this sort of new reality that we're living in, this exciting new reality as far as I'm concerned, with these tools, and with the hopes of helping everybody that's watching deal with all that's happening, all the changes a little bit better. A lot of people are talking about ascension. A lot of people think that this is the beginning of a transformation to a new world order. I think it just depends on how you look at it. I think the opportunity is here for us to do as humanity whatever we want to do with this. We created this situation. Now, what are we doing with it? To where's the silver lining in it? And that's what we do in the practice of Taya, is we look at all of our obstacles and we say, how does this serve me? Well, in this case, we have to look at this and say, how is it going to serve me? But more importantly, how is it serving humanity? Mm-hmm. So, since Debbie and I are on all the time, why don't we kind of jump to, we'll jump to Carrie first, and just give us a little update on what's going on for you, how you're utilizing the tools, how you're spending the time quarantined, if you're quarantined, and just what's going on for you.
Well, everything is going great. I am quarantined, I think, technically. I don't know. I don't watch the news. So, but I just know the guidelines they're asking, or we're asking people to stay home and as much as they can. So that's what I'm doing. And using my Taya tools, actually, I'm using them more now than I ever did, because I am quarantined technically, or, staying home more. So I have a lot more time to meditate and journal, and using my creative side. I've been writing and drawing, and I get outside in nature a lot and take a lot of walks and just enjoy the quiet. It's strange because there's not a lot of traffic noise. And I don't live by an airport, but the plane route is usually over our house. And so that's been real quiet. And of course, it's springtime here. So all the birds and lots of butterflies and birds and all the animals seem to be coming out of hibernation. So I've just been really enjoying nature and just relishing actually this quiet time that we've been given, appreciating that, because I know it will pass. And just like I said, when I do have to go to the grocery store, I make sure that I wash my hands and follow the precautions, because I don't want to get the virus, and I'm not going to get the virus. I'm not going to participate in that. And so I follow the precautions, but I'm not in fear at all.
Good.
I think it's kind of a blessing.
Well, I think
the world has never been quiet.
Yeah, we can follow precautions, but not feed into the fear. I just, if you were listening, anybody that's listening out there, I just had my first live channeling on my radio show, on the Stream of David show on Home Times Radio. And Paula Kidd Casey, the lawyer of attraction, a friend of mine, was my guest. And I actually channeled for her in the second segment. And it's the first time we've done that on that live show. And I haven't listened to it back yet, so I don't know what the stream's message was. But that will be converted to a podcast. And that will be up by Wednesday as the Stream of David podcast. So if you listen to the podcast, the episode that we just did live was recorded, and that will become the podcast for the week. So you can hear what the stream has to say about this. We do have you want to mark your calendars, everybody, because we do have a summit coming up on Saturday, April 4th from 10 a.m. Pacific until noon. So a 2-hour live summit. We're going to broadcast everywhere you're seeing us right now, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, whether you're in Spirituality Gone Wild or Law of Attraction 2.0 or the Stream of David page, we are going to have this summit, and we are going to broadcast this summit for 2 hours to all of these locations. And what we're going to do on the summit is going to be a lot like this, but more people. There's going to be up to 10 people on with me, and I'm actually going to channel the stream for the 10 people that are on, or the 9 people that are on. And then everyone that's watching can also type questions in for the stream. And we're going to have a 2-hour summit, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world, however you want to label it: ascension, a new world order. The stream, I can tell you already, is calling it an opportunity for reset, or a correction, if you will, that we have manifested for ourselves. And I think it's going to be a very, very, hi, Julie. It's going to be a very, very interesting time. So mark your calendars, Saturday, April 4th, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. And everywhere you're watching us right now, you're going to be able to watch us there. And we're going to be posting links really soon, too, about how you can sign up to actually come on camera and participate, like you see Debbie and Nicole and Carrie doing now. Debbie has muted herself. Nicole, I muted you because there was a little one in the background. I think she's gotten quiet now.
Yeah, she's moving around, doing her own thing.
Yeah. So Nicole is our latest graduate of Taya Boot Camp. There she is.
Yeah.
And and I think we're about to get your testimonial video published this week. We're kind of behind.
Okay.
We have so much new stuff coming from the stream right now.
Mhm.
And I've got another one, Alicia, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How's everybody doing?
Very good. So Alicia's in Hawaii. So I've got all Taya Boot Camp people here. So we're going to be talking about the Taya tools and how we're utilizing them to sort of navigate what's going on in the world right now. Nicole, I'm going to mute you back again. So if you want to say something, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you, just because of the background noise. So, Alicia, how are you doing with your? Are you mandatory quarantine right now where you are in Hawaii, or is it just optional?
It's optional right now.
So what's going on for you? How's it
Everyone
going?
actually, everyone is really interesting. Everyone's really mad at the mayor right now because he hasn't shut us down. Everyone is like really trying to even get him out of office. It's kind of interesting the amount of panic and fear that are going on just based on news from other places rather than even looking at our own geographical location and some of the natural advantages that we have just based on being basically isolated from the world in general to begin with. So yeah, there's been a lot of panic. Stores are completely empty. There's been the yoga studio that I'm teaching at, we were staying open. And finally, over the weekend, the studio owner closed because of social pressure, not because people weren't showing up, but because the community was giving her such a hard time of staying open that she felt that she needed to close just because of the backlash of the community of staying open. So it's been really strange here. The response and the panic that actually seems, for me, in some ways, a little overreactive.
Yeah,
but
well, that's what I was just talking about the radio show. I just got through broadcasting live for an hour on radio, and my guest and I were talking about sort of balancing these things. Taking wise precautions, because we're all Taya graduates. Which is very much steeped in the universal law of attraction, that we attract everything to ourselves, and how to really control our vibration so that we're having the life experience that we want, more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. But one of the things we do is we do realize that we still have obstacles that come into our lives, and we look at our obstacles and say, how do these obstacles serve us? So, the summit that we have coming up on the 4th, we're really going to drill down to how this is serving humanity. But right now we can look at how it's serving us. But the matter at hand, the thing I want to dive into first is, how do you, as someone who doesn't want to be impacted by all the negativity that's out there in the news media, how do you take in what's inevitably going to be presented to you? No matter where you go, what you do, you're going to see something that is potentially fear-inducing. So how do you take that information and make wise decisions without falling into the panic and the fear and becoming, part of the problem. So Debbie, I know you've got something to say. I can see that glow you get. Go ahead.
Woo! I love that question. As a Taya boot camp graduate, honestly, I think can anybody raise their hand? Everything is the way it should be. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I understand why what's going on is what's going on. Not everybody does. Yeah.
So I talk to a lot of people who are in a lot of fear. I've been showing up a lot, and it's required for me to show up. And I think that some people I can only mind my own vibration. And I am only going to stay in my own vibration and do my best to lift people up in the space that they are in, no matter what that might be. Observing from the eyes of source versus judging from my head space. Here's what I figured out. I don't know Jack at all. But I do know how to love, and I do know how to be in a lot of appreciation and gratitude. Anybody else really super grateful like that we had Taya behind our freaking belt before the shit hit?
Oh my God, thank God.
Seriously, right? And I just wish I could IV feed others the understanding that we already have from the practice and from the victim is just not serving anymore. The fear, you can't be in fear and acceptance and appreciation at the same time. How to get beyond it? It's real simple. Make a choice. We have a choice. And I have a question. If today were our last day, do you want to spend it living in fear? Or do you want to learn some tools to seriously help you get through this without losing your mind, nobody losing their mind around you, and really becoming at this virus with a grateful heart, saying, thank you for showing me everything I took for granted. So that's what I had to say about it.
That's good thoughts for sure. And, this practice, I don't know, I try to think about, I created this practice for myself over a 10-year period to transform my life. And now I teach it to other people. And I try to think about what life was like back then when I was so fearful about stuff and I would get so sucked into the news. And then I kind of went through this period. I had a spiritual awakening. And then I started shutting off the news. I can't watch the news. I can't absorb any of that. It's negative energy. But I will tell you, I kind of went full circle back to a place now where I don't get all steeped in the news. I don't get dragged into it, but I can see things and not have it impact me and not have it take me down my spiral. And what came out on the live show that we just did a little over an hour ago was that not being fearful of the news. That part of being fearless is not being fearful of the news, because we can see from a higher perspective and you can take in information and decide what's best for you from a high vibrational state, not from a low vibrational state of fear, but from a high vibrational state. I just went on vacation last week. I went to Mexico, and I was very much guided in a very high vibrational state to go ahead and go on my trip. And we had a great few days. And then things started changing. The vibe started changing. It started getting more, fearful. And we heard the stream. Debbie, I think you were on with us. 2-3 weeks ago, we brought the stream in, and the stream said, this is going to get worse because the fear is going to make it worse. And of course it did. Yes. And then I was very much guided. Okay, vacation's over. It's time to go home. And I said, okay, fine. It's time to go home. And we booked the flights. We changed our flights. We checked out a hotel. We got on the plane and sat down and heard on the plane that the airline was grounding flights, that everything was booking up, that the U.S. government was now saying you need to be home now. If you're not getting home right now, we're not going to be able to help you. And so I was like, wow, I'm so glad that we went and we had the fun that we had. We ate the good food and we sat on the beach and we did those things. And now I'm glad that we're going home. And we had a fun trip coming home. And, life can be like that if you allow it to be like that. I'm not sad that my vacation was cut short, and I'm not beating myself up that I went. I'm glad everything just happened in perfection because I allowed it to happen in perfection. And I really want that for everybody. And that's why I created boot camp, was to give those tools to everybody so that we can navigate things like this. I'm 52. I'm older than all of you. And I have never seen anything like this in my lifetime. Well, Debbie and I are close to the same age. I think I'm a little.
No, wait a minute. I'm older than you.
No, you look amazing.
Yes,
How
I
could you
am.
possibly be older than me?
Because I am that amazing. Because Taya's like the
You still have
Benjamin.
all your hair, so.
Well, yeah. But Benjamin Buttons is like, do Taya. Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you start living from a different space, I think we do go backwards in time a little bit because the stress releases in your face. So there you go, anti-aging. Seriously, I want to share this because right now there's a word that's coming to play a lot, and every time I hear it lately, it just makes my heart do a skippity doo. Courage. Courage. Ernest Hemingway, courage is grace under pressure.
Yeah, and rushing to the store and buying every roll of toilet paper there is not grace under pressure. That's, that's fear-based living. And, it's easy to look at that. I see a lot of people saying, oh, these people are awful, these people are terrible, but, they're in their own prison of fear. So, karma is the law of attraction. It's, they're attracting negative things to themselves based on their own fear. You don't have to worry about those people, and at the end of the day, we're going to find a way to survive with or without toilet paper, right? I don't need the specifics on that.
Okay, all right. I did a whole live on this. Anybody that's ever had a child before, we know what a perinatal bottle is, and you know that you cannot wipe after you give birth. So you use water, guys, and squirt it out and get it.
In most Asian countries, they don't have toilet paper.
Yeah, I used to have Japanese toilets in one of my houses, and I loved those photo toilets. Were really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in Thailand, there was no toilet paper anywhere in any of the public bathrooms whatsoever.
Yeah.
There was a little spray thing, and that was it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, bidet. So, there's ways to live with that, without everything. And it's interesting how we shift and adjust and adapt to a new reality instantaneously. I think there's so many good things that have come out of this. And of course there's bad things. People are getting sick, people are dying. I'm not trying to gloss over that by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Even though, I've got such a good connection to the stream that I view death differently than a lot of people do, because I understand that we're all eternal beings. That's their point of view. But I think they understand our perspective too, that you don't want to see someone that you love die, especially at a time that you think is premature because of an illness that comes through. So that's okay to think human like that. But understanding that we are all eternal, that we're as strong as we believe we are, we're as healthy as we believe we are, and we can take wise precautions without dipping into fear. That's the thing that I want to get across to anyone and everyone who's watching this now or recorded in the future, is that, I'm staying home. I took my trip to Mexico. I came home early based on, hey, I think this is the smartest thing for us to do right now. It turned out to be a smart thing to do. We had a great trip home. I've been here in the house. I'm a very social guy. I live in a very social town, and we're just home, and we're doing things around the house. We're living differently than we've lived in the past. And it's okay. I'm washing my hands more. A friend of mine, I have a printer here because I have a home office, and he did some things printed. He stopped by, he came in, we said hi, we didn't hug and all that stuff like we normally do. And it's just fine. We're just kind of rolling with the wise new choices without being fearful. Oh my God, I'm going to get this unless I XYZ. I'm not thinking that. I'm just thinking this is the new reality. I'm going to be respectful of what, the medical professionals are telling us to do, and follow the guidelines and know that I'm going to do it in good health and prosperity. It seems that people are more concerned about the financial fallout of this than they are even getting the illness, which is rightfully so. Another recession will be painful, but during the last recession, I chose not to participate in it. And I'm choosing not to participate into whatever comes next. I just know that the universe is going to take care of me, and I'm not going to get real specific in what that looks like. We have some questions rolling in here too. So I'm going to go back, and I'm not used to reading questions. I'm used to channeling and having Debbie read the questions. So one of the I don't have the name on here. It says Facebook user on my end, so I apologize. I don't have your name. How do you keep family members from bringing you down? I can distance myself from others, but my mother, she has made this the end of the world. I keep showing her love, but it's dragging me down. And you're 50 years old. I'm not in that situation. Luckily, I cohabitate with somebody who actually isn't so into what I do. He's a psychologist, so it's a little, opposite end of the spectrum. But he's not fearful either. So my best advice, though, if you are living with somebody who is really stifled by fear, just let them have their experience, because the more you push against that experience, the more you're going to drag your own vibration down. And if any of you have different advice, chime in, or any of you on the panel with me, or any of you living with someone perhaps that is sort of down their spiral about this, or close to someone who is.
I am. I have a friend who's having a really, really hard time with it. He's from New York. And I guess because of the stuff that's going on in New York, he's in a really, really hard place. I tried taking him out to breakfast the other day, and the rule was no Corona talk. And I think that was really good for him to just have an hour of where it wasn't allowed to be spoken about, that we talked about art, we talked about weather, we talked about anything other than that. But I think the biggest thing is just, it doesn't have to be our experience. I've had my grandmother had me work with children who had AIDS when I was younger. I was a child when the AIDS virus came out. And I think what I'm learning from that and just teaching that just because somebody else is in a negative state, whether it's a negative state of disease, a negative state of thought, energy, whatever it is, you don't have to get on that ride. You can still be in their space and maintain your own collective, your own bubble, so to speak. That's what I've realized, like in talking to him, I let him say what he has to say. And in my head, I'm affirming my own reality of what I know to be truth, and that there's a bigger picture, and that it's going to be okay. And that I don't need to feed it. I don't need to feed it one way or the other. I don't need to try and convince him to not have his pain, because it's his pain and it's his own fear. And I don't have to go there either, that I can just be a very open container for the suffering of another person, and just to provide love, to just do the best to stay in a place of my own happiness that isn't trying to make someone else be happy just because I'm happy, and not honoring the pain, and just allowing them to have their negative experience is what I've just been doing my best to do, and to not drink it, to not be affected by it. I'm a therapist, to not try and change it or fix it or to make them laugh or to provide something else, but just allowing the person to be in their uncertainty, to be in their fear, and to be an example of not being that, of not being reactive, of being responsive to what's going on, but not being reactive to the environment, is the best advice that I've been able to find for myself. Because that's why I actually reached out to you the other day. I was just like, are you going to say anything to help those of us who are just still up our spiral and can see a really, really big picture and having a really hard time, because I was trying to bring everybody up. And what I realized, that was making me down versus just going okay, you're down, I'm up. There's been times
well, we did that video that I need to replay more. Debbie and Matt and I jumped on over a week ago.
I saw that.
Yeah, and did a video with the stream, and then the stream has delivered a whole new message that we're recording into a video, and it's beautiful and it's powerful. And I watched it back this morning and it brought tears to my eyes. And it was, my own voice, but not me, is always with the stream. And it was, I can't wait for everybody to hear that. It's going to be out in a couple of days. And Taya, the two of the things that you touched on that we teach is, one is releasing the need to be right. So the way that we do things isn't the only way. And everyone has their own process. So if your mother is really fearful of it, allowing her process to be very fearful of it. You're not going to convince somebody otherwise. The very best thing that you can do is present your own up the spiral, high vibration example of how to weather this. And if they want to get angry that you're up and they're down, well, it's your choice whether to go down and meet them where they are or not, or just keep yourself up and say, hey, I appreciate you. I respect your what you're experiencing here, and have your experience. And if it's detrimental to them, that doesn't have to impact you. And we're all having our own experience. And the other thing that we learn in Taya is that we're not going to hold someone away from their contrast, even if it's your parent or your child. And I know that's not easy, but learning to let go and allow everyone to have their own experience. Nicole, I'm going to unmute you because I know you wanted to add to this. Go ahead, Nicole.
I was just going to say, being a recent graduate, like that idea of like, I have to get it all right. So like I have engaged in the anxiety at times, and then I go back to like, okay, I have the tools to use. And I was just sharing with Carrie the other day, like, I'm so glad I went through Taya when I did, because there's moments where I have total bliss and I'm just totally connected, and I see other people are just handling it however they need to handle it and process it. There is no right or wrong. That's where they are on their journey, and just grateful for where I am on my journey, which then like helps me get right back up. So, and I try to stay off Facebook because everybody wants to make comments on Facebook.
Yeah, you can get,
That are
Facebook can be really
sometimes
addictive.
negative.
Yeah, it can be really addictive. It can be really negative. It can be really positive. We have the ability to do things such as this on here. And luckily, I have a group of friends that like to post a lot of uplifting things. It rained last night in Palm Springs, which is rare. And we all awoke to this big rainbow in Palm Springs today. And so there's tons of pictures of that and hope and just positive things coming. So, it's just, everything's a matter of perspective and how you react to it, including this. And we've created this little test for ourselves, right? Here we've all gone through this Taya practice, and we've put all these things into place, and we've improved our lives. Now, boy, look at this test that we've manifested for ourselves to make sure that our resolve is really what we want it to be. But it's all about
consciousness.
Yeah, it's just getting your mind in the right space, that this does not have to be, what it's being sold as by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, we can use it to our advantage and look for the positive that comes from it. And the planet is already showing us positive signs of rebirth just from a little less pollution, just from a few days of quarantine. Look how the earth is bouncing back so quickly from the storms that we've created for years and years and years. So, it's a very positive thing that I'm seeing on that end for sure.
Have you guys seen the pictures of San Francisco? My friend was sharing, TJ Woodward was sharing some pictures, and there's a bunch floating. It's beautiful and it's clean. Or the pictures floating around about Vegas. The Las Vegas Strip is gorgeous and not dirty. And wow, I was just like, "Huh, this is so cool." I just, I love that you brought up. At least I got to thank you for like that authenticity there. I too want to try to like get people happier, or make them laugh, or do something to bring this up. And we all know that attempting to change the contrast of another is simply the unwillingness to deal with our own. And so, it's codependent 101. The great part about Taya is it's taught us to bust this up, but I have to go right where you're at and say that I've been there too recently. Where I do like to make people laugh and go online and be a goofball and show funny stuff and try to lift up people, but in a personal space, I also find myself I was trying to do that. I know better. Well, I gotta test myself,
Well, there's nothing wrong with trying to uplift others as long as you're doing it from your own high vibrational positive place. But just understand that if they're really down their spiral and you're really up, you're just going to be annoying to them, really.
I would imagine.
Yeah, you got to let them have their down the spiral time and work their way back up. And that's why these tools are so powerful, because we know how to do that. We know we have the tools now to work our way up the spiral into a state of joy from anywhere. But not everybody has those tools, and it's easy to get smug about it too. When I first started Taya Boot Camp, I would hear people on the group calls that we started using these terms: a high vibrational being and a low vibrational being, and it was judgmental. It's suddenly where how high are you on your spiral really if you're judging somebody else for being down theirs? you're not, that's kind of a lower vibrational thought of yours. If you're, well, they're a lower vibrational being and I'm a higher vibrational being. Okay, we need to retire that, because we all are vibrating differently. And you can look at someone's life, their health, their prosperity, their overall joy, the glow on their face, and you can see their vibration. And it's not about, having tons of houses and cars and yachts and all that stuff necessarily, because there's plenty of people that have all that are living in very low vibration. And the financial abundance and the abundance of joy are not necessarily tied together. And I've lived that, and I can tell you that's not the key. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but there are plenty of people living in misery that have everything financially and really have nothing otherwise. And a lot of people think that is the path to happiness, and they arrive at that space, as I did, and realize, wow, this isn't happiness at all. This is not happy. I wasn't happy. I was making a lot of money, living in a beautiful house and had all the nice stuff, and it was miserable. So that's when I reset my own life and developed these tools so that I could figure out how to be happy regardless of what's in my bank account, and how to be happy regardless of the type of house that I'm living in, and to be joyful first, and really get to a place where I trust the universe to deliver everything that I want and need, no matter what that path looks like.
I've actually eliminated the word stress out of my vocabulary and have replaced it with the word trust. So anytime someone asks me how I'm doing, if I'm about to say I'm stressed or this, I just go, oh, I'm trusting, or I'm trust, or whatever, and just like no more, like literally have like eliminated the word stress out of my life because of this whole thing. And it just seeming to be just like the word of the day. It's like people talking about how stressed they are, stressing about this, and just going like, well, if I really, really believe in these teachings and these practices, that, as the stress is taking me out of the trust. And even the word stress takes you out of the word trusting that there's a much bigger picture that's going on. There's a bigger picture in our government. I'm ex-military, so there's a bigger picture going on in our government and what's going on right now. There's a bigger picture in consciousness that I think if we really, just eliminate the words in our vocabulary that take us down that spiral. That's what I've been really doing. I'm really a kind of a language freak, and since doing boot camp, I've been working on eliminating the word but, the word need, the word try, the word want, and now the word stress.
Those are good ones to eliminate. The need thing, so many people don't understand that needing something actually chases it away. That's a very common thing that I see. I need more money to be happy. I need to get my health better, and then I'll be happy. I need to get the right person in my life, and then I'll be complete. Need. Well, you have to realize the universe only knows yes. So anytime you're in a state of need, the universe is agreeing with you. Yes, you need this. You're right. Yes, you need this. You need that. You're right. You're absolutely right. You need it. And it's just going to keep that thing running from you, running away from you. I'm so into trust that let me see if I can get it on camera. I have TYA on my arm, Trust Your Abundance,
Nice.
Which is what we're talking about. Somebody asked about the tools. The tools that we're talking about here are the Taya mindset practice, the Taya spiritual practice, we also call it. And it's about trusting your abundance, and whatever your abundance is. It means abundance of health, abundance of happiness, abundance of self-love, abundance of confidence. It can mean an abundance of money, an abundance of well-being. And what we do in the practice of Taya is balance belief and trust with fear. And what we want to do is get that out of balance so that we're lessening the fear and we're allowing more trust to come through. So when you really work on detuning fear and detuning doubt and detuning all these negative emotions, suddenly your ability to trust goes up naturally. And when you trust the universe to deliver everything you want and need, it will. I'm living proof of that. It will. I've lived without a paycheck now for 2 years, and I just keep going and going and going and going. And I lived for years thinking I had to have this high paying job to be happy and to survive. And I left that behind over 2 years ago to teach this and to do what I do. And most of the things I do are free. And when I left that, it was kind of the last frontier for me, if you will, jumping out of that airplane to really trust the universe And when I did, I said, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of the paycheck. I'm letting go of the job. I'm getting, out of all of it. And I'm just going to trust the universe. And here I am 2 years later, still living the same way, really. And doing so in a state of joy, doing what I want to do every day, where I want to do it. And that's why I want to teach this to everybody. It's about health. It's about relationships. It's about loving yourself. It's about the whole package of what we call abundance. So I see some more spirit guide told you to stay calm. Are you all seeing the comments that I see?
No.
Okay. So Facebook user, again, I don't have a name. Some of the names pop up and some don't on this platform. I think it's the same person that mentioned her mother being very down about all of this. And I guess you're around your mother a lot, or perhaps you live together. I pissed her off a lot because I have not taken this like the end of the world freak show. My spirit guide told me it will soon end and stay calm. I've been taking precautions. I used to pick up trash all the time with no worries of getting sick. Now I make sure I wash my hands. Also, I've skipped over trash, which bothers you. So you're talking about like picking up just random trash out in nature just to clean up nature. And, right now it may be a time not to do that and to wash your hands more. Exactly. And to stay isolated a little more and use this fantastic technology that we have to communicate, but do so at a state of appreciation of your health rather than a state of fear. Right? So Carrie, do I need to unmute yourself? There you go.
I muted. It's my dog.
Yeah. So we've been talking about, reacting out of a state of just taking wise precautions and doing the things that we're supposed to do and not buying into the fear. So somebody asked specifically about the tools. I want all of you to kind of talk about the tools because we give you lots of tools in Taya Boot Camp, and you find the ones that work best for you because everybody's different. That's one of the things I love about the way the stream delivered Taya Boot Camp. It's all channel material. And it was channeled in such a way that we do these things. We have different ways of trying to reset our default vibration, to meditate, to get the stream connection going. Tell us about your personal tools that you use when the fear does start to creep in, because you're human like the rest of us, and it can.
It does. Usually I will meditate, but there's times I can't even get to that meditative state because of the fear. So I've learned through Taya to allow it to happen instead of struggling or fighting against it, which was one of the bigger tools I think that Taya taught is when you push back against something, it tends to push back and harder. So I've learned to sit with it and allow, first of all, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? Okay, that's fear. And then I kind of just try to rationalize myself, like, am I about to be murdered or eaten by a tiger? No. So why am I so fearful? And then I kind of work through it. And if I can't get into a quiet meditative state, then I'll do something such as take a walk outside or do the dishes or, sweep the floor, something physical that doesn't take a lot of thought. And then into appreciation of, okay, I am safe. I have a home. I have food to eat. Nothing's, I haven't been exposed to the virus. I wash my hands and I start appreciating those things. And also appreciating, I have, of course, friends and family that are fearful. And so one of the biggest things I think I have ever really took to heart was something the stream said and has said over and over, is that there's no right or wrong, and that each person is here to live their contrast or their obstacles in their life. So if they're fearful, that's their obstacle to live. And so appreciating that, yeah, they may be fearful and down their spiral, but they're still a human being, and I can still find things to appreciate about that person. And then just like everybody said, trying not to go down there with them, but just stay in my, out of my fear. And a lot of times, just by my calmness, people will tell me that calms them. They're like, God, I feel so calm around you. And I feel better already just that you listen to me. So you don't have to get caught up in it, but just listen, like David said, and then appreciate them. I understand where you're coming from. It is scary time.
Yeah.
So
Well, again,
those are my
letting them have their feelings in their moment and not trying to push against, because pushing against doesn't work ever on any topic, including pushing against another human being when they're having their down the spiral time. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that we always talk about meditation. I love meditation. I love silence. I did one of those Facebook things yesterday out of boredom when I got home in the afternoon because I was over at Mike's painting all day, and then I came home and I just wanted to chill for a little bit. And it was like, what are you listening to right now? And everybody was putting, this on the radio, this music, whatever. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm not listening to anything. I'm sitting here in silence and I'm loving it. It's so quiet outside. Somebody else mentioned there's very little traffic noise. I live in Palm Springs, but I live right in town. So there can be a lot of traffic noise. It was just so quiet. I could hear birds chirping and the skies were blue. And I just really appreciated that moment that, wow, I'm just sitting here in silence. Maybe I should shut this Facebook thing down and just enjoy the silence, because I really do. And there was a time in my life where the time in my life where I didn't really like myself very much. I also didn't like silence. Isn't that interesting? I had to have the TV on all the time. I had a TV in every room in my house back then, and I always have the TV on. I couldn't just sit in quiet. And now I don't even have cable anymore. In fact, I have a TV that I barely even turn on. And I just love being in silence. Do any of you find appreciation in silence? Everybody. Yeah. It's just nice because you're not running from your own thoughts. When you're not fearful, you're not afraid to just be and to just be one with yourself and really have that higher connection flowing in. And if you ever find yourself, we're going to give you a little Taya tip right here, because Carrie touched on something. There are times that you might be down your spiral in a state where you can't just sit and meditate. When either you're in such a negative state that when you sit and try to quiet your mind, those negative thoughts just keep churning. It takes time to detune that stuff. That's why boot camp is so effective, because you're in there for a time and you're working on detuning that stuff over a period of time. And it's work. I love to call it work. It is work, right? Boot camp is work. It is. There's just no getting around that, because you're detuning these negative aspects of your psyche that have been controlling you all this time. And when you detune all that stuff, suddenly the fear starts to dry up and disappear from your life. And that's why it works so well. That's really what Taya Boot Camp is all about. Debbie, are you doing an amen, or you want to add something?
Oh, Mr. Kata. No, Mr. Kata.
Yes.
I gotta share.
You're both old enough to know what that means.
Mr. Kata. Yeah. All right. Taya, I love this, because one of my favorite things, another one, is the fact that my stories no longer serve me anymore. Because not only did I go through these spaces of forgiveness with transgressors, which is vital to actually now say how grateful I am for everybody, for all of them, for whatever that may have been. But really, it's understanding that my old story just didn't serve me whatsoever, and to see that I can make a choice to change my story. And that's part of what Taya helps you do. You get to rewrite history.
Yeah. Well, again, everything, we all have this little song that we sang, right? That we sing that, oh, you don't understand. This happened to me. That happened to me. I had a bad childhood. I was poor. I was broke. My parents were abusive. My boyfriend abused me. Whatever it is, we keep singing this song over and over again. And then we keep perpetuating things of that nature in our lives. And they just take on different forms, but it's still the same rooted in the same negative thing. That's when we dive into those root causes of our limiting beliefs, and we start working on detuning that stuff. But when you do it, it really transforms your life. And then you realize, wow, all these things that are my triggers that are holding me back are really my memories, because your past only exists as your recollection of it. And when you learn to start changing your past to a version that serves you better, yeah. And it's so funny because some people want to get so stuck in what they think are facts, but those are your facts that you created based on your recollection and your perspective of your experience. And, my brother taught me that lesson because I remember my mother being this, really nasty, negative, abusive person. And she said horrible things to me. And I remember it. I remember, I never wanted you. You should kill yourself. Never wanted to have kids, all these things. And my brother and I, when we became adults, started kind of arguing about her. And he had a whole different recollection. She did the best she could. Our father left her and she was struggling. And I realized, wow, we have two very different perspectives of our mother, and we grew up in the same house. That's true for all of us. And I had to learn to start singing a different song about my mother. And when I started singing a song of appreciation, just for the fact that she brought me into the world, because I remember being a teenager and her telling me, I wish you were never born. I wish you would just kill yourself and go away. I remember telling her, fighting back and saying, well, I'm here and you just have to deal with it. You brought me into this world. I'm here. And then I progressed all the way to a point where I realized, wow, she did do her job. She brought me into the world and here I am. And I need to show gratitude for her for that and leave it at that and not get so caught up into the negative aspects, which was just, evidence of where she was vibrationally all that time. And when I did that, my whole relationship with her shifted and changed. And I started, and she was already in her completed state at that point. And I started having her visit me in these dreams as a totally different human being than I knew her as, realizing that I was encountering her as she is now, which is not that ego-driven, negative down the spiral human being that she was in life to me. And that I don't need to keep singing that song. I'm just going to keep that alive if I do that. Very, very empowering to start looking at things differently from our past. And really, you don't realize how much that informs your present and will continue to inform your future if you keep revisiting it that way, if you keep singing that song. All right, so I'm gonna see if there's any other questions in here about what we're talking about. To change your life and really get positive, lasting change, whether you are in boot camp or not, it takes some work. It takes some undoing of all the things that you've been taught. And that's the work that we do. And I love getting everybody on. I sent this invitation out kind of impromptu. Debbie and I just talked this morning and decided just to jump on and just do this and just bring some people in that are boot camp graduates to just talk about how we're using these tools through this time, because I knew you were all going to come on and talk about being okay, because I don't graduate you until you are.
Does anybody want some alternative health tips on how to keep your body healthy during this time?
Well, you've opened the can of worms. You might as well go ahead and share them.
Because that's what I've decided to do. Rather than being mad at everybody, I've just decided to start sharing the tools of how I know to work with the body with this. So my girlfriend and I, who's a Chinese medicine, lots of vitamin C, because vitamin C works as a toxin that's going to pull other toxins to itself. Probiotics. This disease is coming in through the stomach and the spleen. And then from weakening the earth element, it's compromising the air element. So probiotic, vitamin C is really good. Drinking lots of warm liquids, bone broth, anything warm that's going to keep you warm is going to help. Avoiding cold drinks, which is hard for me because I love ice water, but putting all of your cold things aside for the next few weeks and just drinking warm water, room temperature, upping vitamin C, and just really potatoes, celery, leeks, cilantro are all going to help boost the immune system just by putting them into your body. Also, David, I know I've talked to you about holding points. So I don't know if you guys can see. So if you hold center of heart, like right in the middle of your heart, there's a little divot there. And if you hold, go upside down, your tailbone, it's where the parasympathetic comes out of the body. So if you hold heart and tailbone, it literally interrupts the adrenals.
You're talking about simultaneously, right?
Yep, at the exact
Redirecting
same
the
time.
energy.
Yep. And what it does, because we're bioelectric beings and we have 3,000 nerve endings on each finger, if you place in between the center of the heart and the tailbone, it interrupts the fight flight process, because our fight flight is designed to either fight or run. And if you can touch yourself, then what's ever happening isn't happening in the moment. So it literally starts to tonify our adrenals, because it's the immune system getting compromised that's going to allow the virus to come in. So holding that, I've also been holding the points right here. These are self-love points. They create dopamine, serotonin, GHB in the nervous system. You hold for 36 breaths. And then holding your knees. So there's another point. This is the last one. Inside your knee right here might be a little bit tender, holding there, and the outer side right here. And you can either hold those together or in conjunction with the base of the big toe. And those are all kidney points, liver points, stomach points. And it's interesting because in the Japanese energy that I trained in, those 3 points are conception, alchemy, and balance are the names of those 3 points. And that's really what we're coming at, I think, in the world, is the conception of the world. The earth element is coming through this alchemy chemistry of like changing and finding a different balance. And I think if we hold that within our own beings, it's going to make walking through this time a lot easier, is what I just noticed with myself. So that's your alternative therapy coronavirus update.
There you go. Well, and if you're just catching this, you can go back and this video is in Law of Attraction 2.0. It's in Spirituality Gone Wild. We're live right now on YouTube as well, on the Stream of David channel, and we're on the Stream of David Facebook page. So any of those places, this video will live on, and you can go back and review this and take her advice and try these things, because I think everything has the power that you give to it. And there are certainly people that study these things and come up with these things, and they are very powerful tools. And I'm all about tools. In Taya, we teach tons and tons of tools to do everything. But the mental power that we give to these tools is so important. So it's giving the power to and the love to whatever you're trying, and it's going to work for you. And if you're here watching this, it's no mistake. You manifested your way here vibrationally, because you are seeking ways to work through this time and actually use it to your advantage. And we can.
And I know this shit works. I've worked on people hooked up to medical machines and asked the doctors what needed to change and what was going on. And I've held these points on people, and I've watched the machines change. I've watched the numbers change. This is a tool that I have tested in hospitals, in neonatal ICU units, all kinds of things, and it works. It will literally change your neurochemistry, and it will change your body by holding these points.
Maybe I'll get TSW on my other arm for this shit works.
I like that.
Exactly. This shit works. It does. Just like.
And I'm still waiting on all of you to get your Taya tattoos. Everybody says they're getting Taya tattoos, but
I'll get one.
I loved all of those tools. I thought that was awesome. And I want to just do a plug really quick. So another thing that happens when you've got a bunch of time on your hands and you're stuck at home, you have time to read. This book right here is, I'm plugging Carrie. Carrie is the author of this book. It's called Silent Magic. This is redonkulous. I haven't read this, finished reading yet. I'm going to tell you, this whole thing is telling me I need to slow it down and finish reading this book that Carrie so lovingly sent and signed for me. So I'll have the version that's worth money later, okay? Just so y'all know. I'm calling it now.
Yes, and I got David's permission to bring in the Taya practice because I'm bringing in some younger characters in my book too. And that's who I really was trying to reach, the younger people to understand this concept. And so David and I have talked, and I can bring in some of the Taya ideas. And so my young character is going to have been to boot camp and she will be sharing some of her ideas
Nice.
with the world. Yay.
How do you
Very nice.
how do people order your book?
Amazon. It's on Amazon.com. Same with David's, The Stream of David.
You haven't had that
Yeah,
Stream of David
this
yet.
too. I don't have my books. I've packed everything. Show your book, David.
Oh.
Thank you, Carrie. I know, right?
My book is The Stream, Eternal Wisdom for a Better Life. It's available on Amazon. It's actually 40% off right now. When all this coronavirus stuff started, I was guided to mark it down 40% off so people at home can order the paperback, or you can do the download, or if you're Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. So it's on Amazon right now. It's 40% off. I always tell Ray, go read the reviews and see if the reviews speak to you, because there's lots of positive reviews and there's some not so positive reviews. But I think reading the reviews, you will get whether it's the book for you or not. The vast majority of the reviews are very positive, life-changing. They've never read anything like this before. It's a very different type of spiritual book. A lot of it is channeled from the stream, and there's 23 core messages from source. Do you like how I figured out how to hold it without covering up my name or the title? I've gotten really good at that.
That's talented.
It's very talented. Anyway, so it's available right now for download or for purchase on Amazon.com. It's at Barnes & Noble also, and it's 40% off right now. And then when you buy the book, there's also a link in there to the masterclass, and we can put a link up to the masterclass here too. The 4 Steps to an Abundant Life masterclass, which is something that we've been promoting lately, which is a free masterclass. So we'll put a link up for that as well. You can take your time to do that. Also, mark your calendars. We have the Stream of David Live Summit Saturday, April 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific. It's going to last for 2 hours. We're going to have 8 people on the panel, just like this, except there'll be more. And then as many viewers as want to watch it can watch and type in questions and interact live with the stream. And it's going to be primarily about what's going on, the state of affairs in our world right now, how this time of transformation is serving humanity and can serve us in our lives. You're going to hear a lot more about that from the Stream of David and myself and Debbie and others in the coming weeks leading up to the summit. But it's really a profound time of change, a reset for humanity is available to us if we want to take it. And it doesn't matter if everybody's on board with this or not. You know, those people that are living in fear, that are terrified of getting the virus, that are out buying up everything in the supermarkets, they're going to have their own experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we get to choose the experience that we have. We get to choose how we react to all of this, and we get to choose how this is going to serve us, how our downtime, if we have it, is serving us, or if you're a healthcare professional and you're working overtime, how that's going to serve you. There's a silver lining in all experiences and all obstacles. We really just need to figure out what that is for ourselves, and it's individual. You know, no one else can tell you how this time is serving you. You've got to figure it out for yourself, and you've got to be the one that finds the service in all of this for yourself. That's a very, very important message that I want to get across. We're going to wrap up now because it's the end of the hour. I'm calling each of you for any closing thoughts, and I'll start with Alicia. You've shared a lot, so to wrap up, what are your closing thoughts here?
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that you reached out for me to share. I've been really just doing my best to channel and just love. I think the opposite vibration is love, and if we love ourselves, if we love the world, if we just keep staying positive, that this too shall pass, and that it's an opportunity again from Corona to consciousness to really to wake up. That no matter how high vibrational, how whatever we thought we were, that we can always up level. We can always love more. We can always have better hygiene. We can take better care of the planet. We can consume less. We can do things differently. And I think this is a global timeout, and what we do with the timeout is going to be really, really important. So I just appreciate this connection and this timeout, and just so grateful to see all of you and to have such an amazing high vibe conversation. And for everyone else who's out there watching, I hope you guys just absorbed all of the love.
Very good. And do you have do you do work online? Do you have a website to share or a Facebook page or something like that?
That's actually elishastar.com will be up by the end of this week in lieu of the coronavirus, because I realize that I have to like do something differently if I want to keep working with people, because I work one-on-one.
Yeah, well, working, that's the thing I love about Taya Boot Camp. It's global. We have people all over the world that have taken Taya Boot Camp now, even in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi and places like that, so being online helps you really reach a lot more people. So when that website gets up, come back into the comments, because people are asking. Come back into the comments once your site is up and post a link to it here, okay?
I will. And one of the visions that had just been coming up for me through this whole thing is when we first started working together, and you gave me the vision of having my ankles shackled to the collective consciousness. And for me, it was also the military, and just this releasing of the shackles, the releasing of the shackles of what the collective consciousness is, and tapping into source. And that source consciousness is above the collective. It's the beginning of the collective, and that we can just keep going back to that, and we don't have to be attached to the collective consciousness ride.
Yeah, and it's available to all of us. It's flowing through all creation, even people that you really disagree with. It's flowing. It's just, are you letting it in or not, really? Very good. Thank you, Alicia. Carrie,
Thank you,
tell everybody your closing thoughts, and I'll unmute you there. You're unmuted now. So where they can find you and your closing thoughts?
Well, I don't have any kind of Facebook group. I closed that down. So, but I do blog, and that's kjking.org. And of course, I'm in Law of Attraction, David's Facebook page. So
that's Law of Attraction 2.0.
You can always find me there.
Yeah.
2.0, sorry, thank you. And my closing thoughts, just really, I'm so grateful that you invited me to be on this, and that I do hope that we were able to lift people's vibrations and calm the fears. And I hope that they take this time to learn to meditate, read some books, two ones that I know of that you would enjoy for sure. And just, be appreciative that we are all able to stay in our homes. And if you're online, clearly you have internet, so you're safe somewhere. And just be grateful for that, because this will pass. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, and you got the point that gratitude brings more things to be grateful for, right?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you again, David, for having me on here.
Thank you for joining.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you as well. All right, Nicole, do you know how to unmute yourself there?
Yeah, I'm
there you
unmuted. Hi. I just wanted to say I love what everyone had shared, and I feel like I manifested this. You said it was like off the cuff with you and Debbie. I aligned to it, and anybody who's watching, you're here for a reason. You're drawn to it, and when I started boot camp, I just said for me it was leveling up. That was my mantra, and when the coronavirus started, I just took what the stream said. I'm discerning my preference. What do I want to create? And I'm kind of seeing it as a fun little journey of what I'm going to create next, because this too shall pass, as everyone's been saying. And I'm just super grateful. Gratitude and appreciation always give me more, and just totally take me up my spiral. So thank you, David.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining, and thank Leah for hanging out with us too.
Yes.
Very good. Debbie, parting words.
Embrace the moment, you guys, that you're in. And the fear is keeping you from the joy of the present experience. And when we're trying to look into the future, it causes us anxiety. Regret looking in the past causes depression. We know that. So make a choice, just practice it. And how that I achieve it is, if there's something I've been taking for granted, rather than beat myself up about it, I say, gosh, wow, I'm so grateful for the shift in perspective right now, to see that gratitude moment that I was just gifted. So I encourage you to look for what's good what makes you smile, and then to reach out to another human being and be that for them that you desire. And just be here now. Be here now. I can't even say it enough. And I love you. And David, you rock. I and I love all of you on here. But man, David, thank you for bringing these tools.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate everybody that has taken time to watch all of this, and I appreciate all of you for jumping on, especially with such short notice. It was very kind of you to all come on here and share your experiences. I will tell you, if I can get this going up here, if you want to learn more about what we're talking about here, learn these tools, it's TYA, T-Y-A. It stands for Trusting Your Abundance. You can visit thestreamofdavid.com/TYA. You can learn more about the practice. You can learn more about boot camp. You can even go in there and book a discovery meeting with me. And I always tell, whenever I'm on with Debbie, I say, always mention Debbie G when you book your discovery meeting, and we will gift you a second hour with the stream. One of the things you get when you join TYA Boot Camp is you get an hour with the stream. And that hour is very powerful, because in that hour, you go in and identify your abundance blocks, the things that are kind of nagging at you, that are dragging your vibration down. And the stream actually guides you to those things. And we give you tools in boot camp and time and coaching to be able to clear those things, so you get them out of your way. You can be more grounded in the present moment. You can enjoy the wonderful ride that we create for ourselves and enjoy every moment. You see how everyone here is enjoying this process and looking for the light in all of it and finding the light in all of it, more importantly, and how we're living our lives on a higher level that's available to everybody. And I would love for everybody to get these tools. So if you mention Debbie G, you get a second hour with the stream that you can use for yourself, or you can gift that to somebody else. Preferably somebody that would really appreciate it and enjoy it, not somebody that's not into channeling. But you can gift it to whoever you want to do, because I'll get on and channel for anybody, whether they're into it or not. They can get something out of it. It can be life-changing, or it can just be entertaining for them. It doesn't matter to me. So that's what this is all about. Take the time to go learn a little bit more about TYA, thestreamofdavid.com/TYA. Learn about these tools that we've developed. They work. I love to give you real-world examples of real-world people that are changing their lives with these tools. And that's what it's all about. Look at it. If it seems like it's the right thing for you, book your discovery meeting. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And get on a discovery meeting with us and talk about your path to boot camp. Right now, you've got extra time to do it, right? So if you've got extra time and you're removing fear and it seems like it's the right thing for you to do, you're here for a reason. And it's because this boot camp is waiting for you. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for watching. I wish everybody good health and peace in making this a joyous time. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Aloha.